Reform and Rectification for Economic and Competitiveness and Transformation, Correct Movement. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat po, Comsec. Ito pong pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay patungkol po sa resolution of both houses of Congress proposing amendments to Sections 4 and 7 of Article 6 on the Legislative Department, Section 4, Article 7 on Executive Department, Section 8, Article 10 on Local Government of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. Bago po yan, hihingin muna po natin ang opinyon, ang paunang salita ng ating idolo, si Senator Francis Tolentino, dahil sapagkat siya po ang may, para po sa akin, siya po ang may boses sa usapin na ito, sapagkat siya po ay galing sa lokal na pamahalaan. At siya po ang tunay na sabi nga nila, experience is the best teacher. Kaya sa usapin nito, mas maganda pong siya muna ang magbigay ng paunang salita. Senator Tolentino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hindi naman siguro experience, mas maraming well-experience dito. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. But let me state in advance that after this perhaps preliminary statement, I'll be asking the permission of the chair to be excused because I have to attend to, similar to yesterday's event in Bohol, there's another event likewise happening in Tagaytay wherein local government officials from Southern Leyte have convened and would perhaps be discussing important points relative to local governance. Mr. Chairman, relative to resolution of both houses number 5, understand that there is pending before the Senate Committee of the Whole a resolution, Senate resolution of both houses number 7, which refers to economic provisions. And as I've glanced your measure, Mr. Chairman, I don't see any conflict, except perhaps some political analysts, perhaps today, day after tomorrow, would be
and principal and co-founder and lead convener of the Constitutional Reform and Rectification for Economic and Competitiveness and Transformation, Correct Movement. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat po, Comsec. Ito pong pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay patungkol po sa resolution of both houses of Congress proposing amendments to Sections 4 and 7 of Article 6 on the Legislative Department, Section 4, Article 7 on Executive Department, Section 8, Article 10 on Local Government of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. Bago po yan, hihingin muna po natin ang opinyon, ang paunang salita ng ating idolo, si Senator Francis Tolentino, dahil sapagkat siya po ang may, para po sa akin, siya po ang may boses sa usapin na ito, sapagkat siya po ay galing sa lokal na pamahalaan. At siya po ang tunay na sabi nga nila, experience is the best teacher. Kaya sa usapin na ito, mas maganda pong siya muna ang magbigay ng paunang salita. Senator Tolentino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hindi naman siguro experience, mas maraming well-experience dito. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. But let me let me state in advance that after this perhaps preliminary statement, I'll be asking the permission of the chair to be excused because I have to attend to, similar to yesterday's event in Bohol, there's another event likewise happening in Tagaytay wherein local government officials from Southern Leyte have convened and would perhaps be discussing important points relative to local governance. So, Chairman, relative to resolution of both houses number 5, understand that there is pending before the Senate Committee of the Whole a resolution, Senate resolution of both houses number 7, which refers to economic provisions. And as I've glanced your measure, Mr. Chairman, I don't see any conflict, except perhaps some political analysts, perhaps today, tomorrow would be distracted as to their perception of what this committee is doing. My point here, Mr. Chairman, is that based on my experience, I have full support in terms of extending the term of office of local officials. I've stressed over and over again that the real problem solvers of the Philippines are our LGUs. Without them, perhaps we would be in a more bad shape. Let me cite an example. Even this present predicament of El Nino, it is our local chief executive, it is our vice mayor, it is our governor, it is the councilors, the barangay officials. And proof of this would perhaps be the past pandemic experience. It's not the IITF, modesty aside, no offense to them. It's your mayor, it's your barangay nutrition scholar, it's your barangay health worker as following the commands of the local chief executive. Having said all of this, Mr. President, I wish to reiterate my support relative to the extending the term of office of governors, vice governors, board members, mayors, vice mayors, councilors all over the land, considering, Mr. Chairman, that the 3-year term, having been a mayor myself for several terms in Tagaytay, and I can always cite my Tagaytay experience as one of my lifelong lessons in governance. Kulang po yung 3 taon. And having been elected as the national president of the League of City Mayors before, I also commiserate with good mayors. We had good mayors then during my time. Ang gagaling po ng mga nakasabay kong city mayors. One of them became a Speaker of the House. I'm referring to Sonny Belmonte. One of them became a Vice President. I'm referring to Jejomar Binay. One of them became President of the Philippines. I'm referring to President Rodrigo Duterte. Ito po yung mga nakasabayan ko. Ang gagaling po nung one of them became the DILG Secretary. I'm referring to Jesse Robredo. So ito yung hanay po nung ang gagaling. Pero nakita ko, much as they would want to expand the coverage of their passion to serve, kulang talaga yung 3 years. Kulang talaga yun. Sa mga gobernador, nandun din po yung mga magagaling na nasa local officials talaga yun eh. Kahit saan mo bunutin yun, yung mga gobernador natin, ang gagaling po nun. Ang gagaling po nun. And Governor Mandanas is a prime example of how a provincial chief executive can harness the resources of his province. My own governor in Cavite, John Vic Remulla. Cavite is a prime province. The same is true with Gwendolyn Garcia. Lahat po magagaling eh. So I have a prepared statement here, Mr. President, to abbreviate my explication of support. I wish to manifest my support for resolution of both houses number 5, proposing amendments to the 1987 Constitution, particularly Article 10 on local government. Local government. I underscore local government. Dito po muna ako, hindi na dun sa ibang provisions that might drag me into a different terrain which I might be asked to explain tomorrow. So dito na ako sa local government. This resolution recommends the extension of the term of local government officials from 3 to 4 years. And I quote the local government code. This is Public Act 7160. Your resolution, Mr. Chairman, would amend Section 8 of Article 10 of the local government provision in the Constitution. Section 8, the term of office of elected officials except barangay officials, which shall be determined by law, shall be 4 years, and no such officials are served for more than 3 consecutive terms. Voluntary renunciation of the office for any length of time shall not be considered as an interruption in the continuity of his service for the full term for which he was elected, unquote. Mr. Chairman, again, as former mayor of Tagaytay City, as former president of the League of Cities of the Philippines, as former Metro Manila Development Authority chairman, having supervision over 17 LGUs in Metro Manila, I believe that it is incumbent upon me to address one of the painful truths of local governance. One, how long-term strategic planning and development is almost impossible. Almost impossible. And how meaningful reforms are unceremoniously discontinued even before they take root and effect meaningful change. Much of these challenges are attributed to how far too short local chief executives stay in office to implement change at the grassroots. Ulitin ko po, ang mga pamahalaan lokal sa akin pong paniniwala ang talagang susi po para sa solusyon sa problema ng ating bansa. This is inimical to public interest, yung pong 3 years, and a hurdle to the continuity, stability, and consistency of public service. Kalahati po ng term, after 1.5 years, nag-aaway na po. Nagpe-prepare na kung mag-expire na si Mayor kung sinong lalaban. Kaya ang nangyayari po nito, yung na-perpetuate yung quote-unquote dynasty, etc. So yun lang po yung nangyayari niyan. Kaya si Mayor, ang nangyayari, minsan nagba-vice mayor, minsan lumilipat, yung iba nga, municipal administrator na. But I submit, Mr. Chairman, that extending the terms of office of local elected officials will greatly foster value in the administration of local governance. In the interest of time, let me again briefly state 3 points. First, on legacy. The proposed term of the office of LGU officials would allow them to thoroughly immerse themselves in local challenges and forge strong connections with the people. The extension of term will enable them to make more informed decisions that can meet the specific needs of their communities. Consequently, such an extension would encourage local officials to take on long-term projects which have great potential for enduring and sustainable initiatives that could benefit their constituents well beyond their terms in office. Mr. President, during the last 4 months, I have accompanied several LGU heads and vice mayors to various programs spearheaded by my office. Alam po ito ni Atty. Coro. Last 3 months ago, I tied up with the Lee Kuan Yew Institute in Singapore. Last month, I had a program in conjunction with another program of the Hague Academy of Local Governance. At ito naman ngayong darating na Hunyo, I think I'll have another program in Thailand. All of this are participated by local chief executives, governors, vice governors, mayors, scholars. At nakikita ko po doon, Mr. Chairman, meron kaming 10-day, 9-day classroom activities. Yung mga mayors po natin, nagno-notes, nagre-recite, nagbibigay ng presentation. Nakikita ko po yung kanilang passion for local governance. And these are mayors coming from various parts of the country. We have from Sulu. We have from the Vice Governor of Laguna was there. The Vice Governor of Bohol. The Vice Governor of Marinduque. To name a few. So makikita po natin talagang ito, nag-aaral. Nag-aaral talagang, nakikita ko na ang sinasabi nga ng mga dean, kasi nasa gilid lang po ako ng kwarto, ang gagaling daw ng mga Filipino local officials. Ang gagaling nila. They would not just want to learn, but they would want to replicate what they have learned and transform their ideas and learnings into something concrete. And yet they are stymied by the 3-year term. 3 taon lang, politiko na uli. Politika na uli, di ba? So, malaking tulong po ito, Mr. Chairman, at sa palagay ko po, sasang-ayunan ito ng marami. And secondly, Mr. Chairman, an extended term for mayors, governors, would enhance accountability. Local officials will have more time to deliver on their promises and fulfill their mandates. With fewer interruptions from election cycles, they can focus more on governance. Officials can build on past successes and avoid unnecessary reversals of policies, resulting in more efficient use of resources. Yesterday, I had the privilege of ribbon cutting at that project of mine in an area called Alicia, Bohol. We opened a project, it's called Colegio de Alicia. Pangarap po ng may mga mayors noon pa na magkaroon sila ng sariling paaralan. Matagal na silang sumusulat sa CHED, hindi naman sila mapagbigyan. Pero ngayon po, dahil sa may kapangyarihan sa local government code at yung mayor kahit bago lang, karugtong din ng pangarap ng mga dating mayor, nasimula namin yung Colegio de Alicia, a small community college that would offer programs for the residents of Alicia, Bohol. And the same is true with what I'm doing in Laurel, Batangas. We have opened a Liceo de Laurel, another small community college in Laurel, Batangas. When I was mayor, ang una ko pong ginawa, modesty aside, Mr. Chairman, was to establish the City College of Tagaytay. Hanggang ngayon po, bukas pa yung City College of Tagaytay. And marami na pong nagkasunod-sunod na yan. Pamantasan ng Muntinlupa. And then you have pamantasan ng Caloocan, among others. Ang dami na pong, and then right now I'm supporting the initiative to have a Louisiana Community College in Laguna, a small town. So nakikita natin yung mga mayors natin, mga local officials talagang nakatutok din po sa kinabukasan ng mga kabataan. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because all the initiatives would not come from the national government, would not come from the cabinet. No offense to former cabinet officials here. It would come from the grassroots. So ito pong papalayag ng term ng mga mayors, governors, ay palagay ko po makakatulong because it would unleash not just the passion but the initiatives of local officials. Kaysa pigilan mo ito, magplano na uli ng politika, patrabahuhin mo muna. Finally, it would result in greater competitiveness and efficiency in governance. Longer leadership terms can potentially inculcate expertise and competence among civil servants. Stability and consistency instead of the revolving door policy can sustain streamlined administrative processes and efficient delivery of public service at the local level. Mr. President, nung isang linggo, hindi ko lang alam kung saan ako galing. Sa dami ko na napuntahan, kaya kapoy na ho ako. Meron po akong isang napuntahang bayan sa, kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, 6th District of Pangasinan. It's either Umingan, Asingan, or another town nearby. Ang plano po ng mayor, yung palengke po nila na ginagawa ngayon, utilizing local funds, magkaroon ng hotel, local hotel na maliit sa loob para nang sa ganon to attract tourists kasi wala pang hotel sa kanila. Sabi ko doon sa mayor, during my younger days, I was able to visit an exact prototype somewhere in the Ottawa-Carleton region in Canada. Yun lang po yung pinagyayabang nung Ottawa-Carleton region, yung palengke nila sa gitna, may hotel. Magkakasama na. So, you fuse here, kung matuloy yun sa mayor, sa Pangasinan, you fuse here not just the one town, one product, you fuse here the local creativity of the artisans of that town, and then you foster competitiveness among the traders in the nearby area. So, lahat pong ito, posibleng mangyari, Mr. Chairman, at ako po ay sumusuporta sa inyong resolution, believing that it is now time to focus on local development efforts that would really last through generations. Hindi na po yung, huwag na magagalit sa akin, mga NEDA po yung mga kahanap natin. Yung minsan yung mga NEDA, pag iba na yung presidente, iba na rin yung plano. Pero po sa local, yun po yung gusto nila. Matayo yung palengke namin, matayo yung eskwelahan namin, matayo yung ospital namin, magkaroon kami ng cold storage facility. Simple lang po ang buhay sa probinsya. Simple lang po ang buhay sa Dumaguete. Simple lang po ang buhay sa Tanhay, sa Bayawan, di ba? Sa Bais. Lahat po, narating ko na po lahat yan. Alam po ito ni Secretary Teves. So, I share the same aspirations as other local government officials nationwide are dreaming right now. Haba-habaan naman yung term. I share the same frustration. Bakit ang iksi nung term nila, samantalang sila yung pinakamaraming ginagawa. So, Mr. Chairman, having said all of this, I reiterate my support to your resolution of both houses, number 5, specifically on the provisions that would result in a 4-year term for governors, mayors, vice governors, vice mayors, board members, and members of the Sangguniang Pambayan and Sangguniang Panlunsod. I appeal to the members of this committee that your resolution be approved, Mr. Chairman, specifically on the matter concerning local government officials. Your humble member of this committee would like to thank you for this opportunity to have stated for the record my support, and perhaps during your second round I would be more active in dissecting and refining the hubris of this very important, vital constitutional amendment. Maraming salamat po, Chairman Senator Robin Hood Padilla.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Tol Francis Tolentino. Alam nyo, meron din po akong hinanda dito na panimulang salita, pero wala nang gaganda pa doon sa inyong sinabi. At alam nyo, Senator Tolentino, pagka pinag-uusapan ang pundasyon ng Pinangbayang Pilipinas, bago po dumating ang mga kolonyal dito, mga nag-colonize sa atin, nakatayo na ang bayang ito at andyan na po yung mga barangay. At yung mga barangay na yun na po yung nag-govern sa atin, at nung mga panahon na yun, tayo po ay progresibo at mayaman. Kaya tayo pinag-interesan ng mga dayuhang bansa. Kaya hindi po bago sa atin ang local government. At ako po yung sumasang-ayon sa sinabi din ni Senator Tolentino na ang pag-asa ng bayang ito ay nakasalalay sa local government. Kaya muli po, Senator Tolentino, maraming salamat po, at kayo ay hinugot pa namin sa hindi naman po sa tadyang ni Numan, ano? Kung hindi hinugot namin sa kanyang napaka-busy schedule. Si Senator Tolentino po ay napakasipag, pumupunta po yan sa mga malalayong lugar para, syempre, pagdadati kang mayor, masyado kang malapit sa ground. Malapit ka talaga sa grassroots. Kaya maraming salamat. Alam namin na bumiyahe ka pa para sa hearing na to. Maraming salamat, Senator. Ang iyong mga paalala, yung mga binigkas ngayong yung panimulang salita, yan ang magiging pundasyon ng aming talakayan. Maraming salamat po, Senator. Kayo po ba mag-suspend muna ako ng 1 minute?
Karangalan ko po, Your Honor, na makadalos kahit sa panimula sa iyong napakahalagang committee hearing. Mahiling lang po ako ng salamat, pasensya sa mga resource persons, bagamat hindi ko kayo maririnig. I'll be reading the transcript. I'll be going to the Councilors League meeting of Southern Leyte.
Natin si Attorney Raul Coro ng City Councilor of Muntinlupa City and Chairperson Advocacy and Policy of Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines. Sir, ulap.
Magandang hapon po, kagalang-galang na Senador. Assalamualaikum wa barakatuh. Kasama ko po ngayon ang aming former National Chairman ng Philippine Councilors League, si Attorney Alan Zulueta. We are representing the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, the umbrella organization of all local leagues in the Philippines. Fully supports the proposed amendments of the 1987 Constitution. ULAP firmly believes that these proposed amendments will significantly enhance the country's governance framework and enable the Constitution to grow and evolve along with the society it governs. ULAP considers that extending the term of local elective officials from 3 years to 4 years or even 5 years, Mr. Chairman, I will explain later on, is a necessary step toward enhancing local governance. By facilitating the term extension, whereas per our experience, since the local elections were held starting in 1988 under the new 1987 Constitution, the 3-year term is very short for elected officials to be able to implement their programs and projects that would benefit their constituents. Over the years, under the 1987 Constitution, we have observed that the 3-year term for elected local officials is insufficient for them to effectively execute programs and projects that would substantially benefit their constituents. This limited tenure as a local official poses challenges and hinders the ability of local leaders to make a lasting impact on their communities. A 3-year term is relatively short considering the complexities and demands of local governance. The initial phase of the local elective term is often undertaken by leaving limited time for implementing meaningful initiatives. Hence, elected officials need time to settle into their roles, understand the needs of their constituencies, and develop comprehensive plans. A longer term would allow them to navigate the challenges such as natural disasters, economic downturns, and changes in central government policies more effectively and ensure continuity in their efforts. Extending terms could also enhance governance and policy implementation by allowing elected officials to focus on long-term goals without the distraction of frequent election campaigns. Whereas elections in the country have become very, very expensive, and candidates are forced to spend a huge amount of money just to be elected. This creates an uneven political playing field, as wealthier candidates have a significant advantage over their counterpart candidates. The high cost of running for public office in the Philippines limits the kinds of individuals who can even entertain the idea of serving in an elective office. Coupled with the low institutionalization of political parties, access to political power is limited to the political and economic elite. The temptation to commit graft and corruption in office is so great just to recoup the huge amount of money spent in the elections. Thus, elections in the Philippines can be one of the root causes of corruption. Whereas the extension of terms from 3 years to 4 years or even 5 years, as I said earlier, and also for the other elected positions, will save government billions of pesos of public money for the holding of elections by the COMELEC. And as such, the funds can be used for other public purposes. Lesser election processes by increasing the extension of the term to 4 years or 5 years would lead to simpler, streamlined planning and execution, reduce burdens on COMELEC, minimize this disruption to public services during elections, and increase the efficiency of both processing and counting. Mr. Chairman, the reason behind our proposal to extend the term to 5 years is because of the GSIS law, which requires a minimum of 15 years of service and premium contributions to be entitled to retirement benefits. Under the said law, presently elected officials cannot qualify under the GSIS law because their maximum terms of 15 years does not reach. Kay senators only 12 years, congressmen only 9 years, governors and other local officials down to the councilors only 9 years. That is the reason why, Mr. Senator, ngayon po sa House, merong dalawang proposed bills na nagpo-propose po ng voluntary contribution ng mga elected officials kasi hindi nga po umabot sa 15 years. Ang sabi ng GSIS, hindi ka entitled sa retirement benefits kung wala kang 15 years. Paano po aabot? May term limit po. The constitutional term limit is only 9 years for our local elected officials, including congressmen. Senators 12 years lang. Vice President 12 years lang. Presidente 6 years lang. Paano po tatanggap ng retirement benefit? We are not second-class citizens. Bakit yung mga appointed officials? Hanggang 15 years pwede sila. Bakit ang elected bawal? Pareho naman nagseservisyo, Mr. Chairman. Kaya sa Martes po, April 30, meron po kaming hearing sa House na nagpo-propose po na ang mga elected officials, para lang makarating ng 15 years, ay baka pwede magbigay na lang ng voluntary contribution para makatanggap ng retirement benefit. Kasi po may term limit po eh. Kaya napakaganda po ng inyong panukala. Napakarami pong mga local officials ang matutuwa sapagkat sa ngayon po, hindi po talaga kaya yung 15 years. Kasi 9 years lang ang maximum namin eh. Congressman, ganun din po. Kaya kung ito po ay mapapatupad, itugma na natin po. The keyword here is to align to the GSIS requirement of 15 years para makatanggap ng retirement benefits. So 5 years, 5 years, 5 years, 15 years po, Mr. Chairman. So yun po ang aming posisyon. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig.
Maraming salamat po sa napakagandang mungkahi. Ano po natin yon? I-note natin yon. Napakaganda nun.
Opo.
May gusto pong idagdag si Attorney Zulueta?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I really support and I told the current chairman of the PCL that we will put on record that we are for 5 years because of the to align with the GSIS law. Not only in that, but including our development plans. Because we adopted 10 years development plan, if we will have 5 years term, we can have the shorter 5 years development plan so that all the vision and the dreams of the local government will be implemented to that development plans that we have if we have longer term. Kasi may biruan pa nga, Mr. Chairman eh. Pag first year mo in office, nag-orient ka pa ng sarili mo. Pag second year mo ng office mo, nagsa-start ka ng pag-i-implement ng mga programs and policy nyo. Pag third year mo na, nangangampanya ka na. Yung aid or election ka na. So actually, 1 year lang, Mr. Chairman, ang naibigay sa mga local legislator and even in local officials. Seriously. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Zulueta. Opo, handa na po ba ang ating isang resource speaker? Sir Dick Penson, handa na po kayo sa inyong unang pananalita?
Yes, Mr. Senator, sorry. Handa na po, pero yung mga narinig lang natin itong mula nung dumating ako, yung tungkol sa GSIS application for LGU officials, we have to also consider na ito po ay hindi yata tugma din sa mga usaping sa term because as a candidate, we know we have a certain term to hold as an elected official. We cannot use the term limits just to satisfy their entry into the GSIS program. Marami pong tao sa gobyerno, 15 taon na nga dyan, pero ang item nila mga maliliit. Kayo parang head of agency when you're elected into office. Each office is headed by the elected official holding such office, either councilor, members of Congress. So, medyo kung ibabase natin ang term limit para lang masatisfy yung kanilang GSIS, masyado naman yatang marami ng entitlements sa ating mga public officials. Imbis na maibigay natin ito dun sa mga taong nangangailangan talaga yung pera na yan, yung gastos sa eleksyon. So yung pinopropose sana dito, maganda na yung 4 years. That's fine. Swerte mo na kapag nabigyan ka ng pagkakataon, pagsilbihan ang mga taong bayan ng 4 na taon. Huwag mo nang iniisip yung kailangan ko mag-qualify dun sa package, retirement package or ng GSIS dahil 15 taon ang kailangan nito. Now, on the other hand, yung 3 years kasi masyadong malaki gastos ng pamahalaan sa eleksyon. Hindi nga natin magawa ang mga panukalang kailangan ilatag natin sa taong bayan dahil wala daw pondo ang COMELEC. Pero eto tayo, systematically every 3 years we spend billions on election. Pati na yung ating COMELEC nagiging full-time na trabaho na ang COMELEC dahil hindi po magkaroon ka ng protest, mariresolve ba? May mga kaibigan tayo, kamag-anak niya yata, nagsilbi 1 day as congressman in Pasig dahil na-resolve yung kanyang issue sa COMELEC bago matapos yung term niya. Yung term na dapat sa kanya. The same thing happens in LGUs and local government agencies. We should also look at the economic advantages or social benefits na ang eleksyon is synchronized, i-hold every 4 years. Tapos kung ano yung mga iba pa kailanganin like plebiscites and referendums, pwede na integrate dun sa nakaprogram talaga na budget for holding elections in the country. Thank you. Yun lang po muna.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Dick Penson. Pakinggan po naman natin ang ating Department of Interior and Local Government, Sir Asek Romeo P. Benitez. Sir, nabasa niyo naman po yung panukala.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and isang magandang hapon po sa ating lahat, particularly to our Honorable Chairperson. Mr. Chair, no, I just would like to have the privilege first of reading the opening statement of the proposed position paper of the department. Of course, with your permission, Mr. Chair, it says here, at the onset, the proposal to amend sections 4 and 7 of Article 6, Section 4 of and Section 8 of Article 10 of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines represents a significant step towards refining and strengthening the legislative, executive, and local government structures of our country. And it is for this justification, Mr. Chair, that we do believe that we have to support the measures that are being introduced into this possible changes in the Constitution. But again, Mr. Chair, maybe I just would like to put forward some observations here that the department also would like the body to consider. Now, while we favor extension of the term of our national government officials and even those in the local level, now we just would like to take note that one of the changes to be introduced here is the composition of our Senate. It says here that the Senate shall be comprised of 54 senators. Now, dalawang grupo po ito, isang those who are elected at large when we have the regional senators. And yet, now Section 2 as a possible object of amendment is not included in the title. And we do believe that such inclusion is not only necessary, now it is a matter of imperativeness, Mr. Chair. So we suggest that Section 2 should also be included in the title of the amendment of the resolution. And then, Mr. Chair, we anticipate a possible problem here on regional representation as far as our senators are concerned, because if senators are to be chosen from regional apportionment, so there should be an ensuing amendment that should befall on their qualifications. Because if we are going to zero in on the qualifications of our senators, now we are confronted with 5. Now these are the constitutional qualifications, and a regional apportionment and their inclusion as part of the senatorial landscape basically would provide for a differentiation also in their qualification. Say, for example, they should be a representative or a resident of the region which they are supposed to be representing. So that should be included. There should be a potential or subsequent tweak or modification in the qualification of our regional senators. Mr. Chair, we always believe in the wisdom of Congress to introduce constitutional amendments. Supreme Court has consistently ruled that the power of Congress is always supreme, comprehensive, unlimited, and plenary. And it is for this reason that the department will not interpose any objection on the proposal of the Honorable Chairperson to have these amendments pushed through. However, Mr. Chair, we would like to bring into the attention of the committee the modification on joint candidacy as one of the changes vis-a-vis the President and the Vice President, Mr. Chair. Now, it is one of the changes to be introduced here is that the President and the Vice President should be elected as joint candidates. Now, the department at the onset would like to entertain some reservations on this because of two possible reasons. Number one, now the Philippine government has not yet established a strong party system. We do believe that that is very important. And at this point in time, where the constitutional landscape is that we encourage an open party system or a multi-party system, I don't think that a joint candidacy for both the President and the Vice President now will be most welcome. and will probably make this particular change or modification successful, Mr. Chair. So I think the committee should try to reconcile this with the provision on open or multi-party system, because we believe that a joint votation will be best achieved in a strong party system. The number two, now we are also apprehensive of a possible dilution of the people's right to choose their candidates, or the right of the people to exercise their constitutional right to suffrage. Supreme Court has always elucidated that the right to suffrage, like the right to religion, is a sacrosanct right of the Filipino people. So on a pedestal or on a hierarchy, it is accorded one of the highest respects, and we do believe that this should also be considered by the committee, Mr. Chair. Now, insofar as extending the term of our local officials, now Secretary Abalos, we have discussed this, and some of the senior officials of the department, kami po okay po kami dito. We do believe that there is a Solomonic wisdom on this, and we even cited in our discussion a political aphorism in local governance that a 3-year term is a very short period of incumbency for a very effective local official, but too long a period of incumbency for somebody who is not functional. Now, the term of office of our local government official is really very short, as articulated by the good Senator Francis Tolentino. Yung unang taon po basically is being devoted for the honeymoon stage, where the local officials get acquainted with the ramifications and the different rules and policies under the local government code. Yung pangalawang taon, yun lang po medyo seryoso. And the third one is that period which they allot for preparation for their next election. The problem basically is when the local chief executive is confronting so many suits and possible admin cases that will warrant the devotion of their substantial time to address these problems of defending themselves. I just would like to cite the case of Mayor Moreno once upon a time. He was once upon a time Mayor of Cagayan de Oro City, and for most part of the term of office that he served his people in Cagayan. Now, that particular time was devoted substantially now in addressing many of the lawsuits that were filed against him left and right by his political nemesis. Now, to the effect that he has already that he has already set aside his number one objective of receiving the mandate of the people of Cagayan, and that is to serve the Cagayanos or the people of Cagayan de Oro City. So again, Mr. Chair, just in the interest of time, we support extension of term of our local officials because we believe that a 3-year term of period is quite short for them to become effective and efficient local officials of their respective jurisdiction. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po, ASEC Romeo P. Benitez. Ngayon naman po, yung amin pong professor naman, Sir Margarito Gary B. Teves, sir.
Magandang hapon po, Mr. Chairman, at sa ating mga distinguished resource persons. Pasensya na po ang ating tatalakayan ngayon or intervention. Limitado lang po dun sa resolution number 6 saka 7, dun sa economic provisions lang po. No? Siguro sa susunod baka makapag-aral tayo dyan, Dago. But for the meantime, what I'll do, Mr. Chairman, I'll read some portions of our statement in the interest of time kasi may session po kayo. Tapos meron pa tayong mga kaibigan ditong mag-intervene din po. Mr. Chairman, we have long been advocating for the removal of the restrictive economic provisions in the 1987 Constitution. We believe this will send a positive signal to investors and help improve the country's investment climate to become more competitive in attracting foreign investments. More foreign direct investments will help spur economic growth, generate jobs, and contribute considerably to inclusive growth, making a significant difference in the lives of Filipinos. Increased foreign direct investments in currently restricted areas would help generate better quality, higher paying jobs, and boost incomes. From 2010 to 2022 po, Philippine foreign direct investment inflows amounted to just $9.4 billion. Compared to Indonesia's $22.1 billion, Vietnam's $17.9 billion, and Malaysia's $17.1 billion. In 2022 po, investment as a percentage of GDP was only 24.7% for the Philippines, while Indonesia had 33.4%, Thailand 27.8%, and Indonesia 29.6%. Mahalaga po yung investment kasi yun ang pera makakatulong sa pagfondo ng mga projects natin dito. Ngayon medyo kapos po tayo kaya kailangan natin ng supplement, dagdag lang po sa capital na invest ng ating gobyerno at sa ating domestic private investors po. No? The Philippines po is the only country in the ASEAN regions where restrictions in foreign ownerships are embodied in the Constitution. Foreign investors consider the legal framework of a country to be an important factor in their investment decision. Removing these restrictions in our Constitution will make our legal framework comparable for ASEAN neighbors. It would send a clear and compelling message to foreign investors, signaling a warm welcome to their investments and business opportunities in the Philippines. The House of Representatives recently approved resolution of both houses number 7, amending the foreign equity restrictions in public utilities, education, and advertising by adding the phrase, quote, unless otherwise provided by law. Anong ibig sabihin po nito? This means that the current foreign equity restrictions will still remain in the 1987 Constitution. But Congress can provide the flexibility to fully lift these restrictions through legislation at some time in the future. No? However, merong element of uncertainty po sa ating foreign investors as to whether or when these reforms will take place. No? Kumparod sa tanggalin na muna natin at ang Congress magligay ng mga limitasyon, regulasyon, safety nets. No? Dahil malaking pagbabago o pagkaiba ng dalawang approaches po. In contrast, our recommendation, which is in line with the proposal of former Chief Justice Renato Puno, is the outright removal of the restrictive economic provisions in the Constitution. This is because laws enacted by Congress in the future could be challenged. Kagaya yung PSA po ninyo na naprobahan, may challenge ngayon sa Supreme Court. If the restrictions are not removed, according to Justice Puno, and I quote, the use of the phrase unless otherwise provided by law is vulnerable to another constitutional challenge. Currently, the amendments to the Public Service Act are facing 2 judicial challenges in the Supreme Court because the provision on public utilities is still in the Constitution. Kung kayo po foreign investor, nakalagay na kayo po. Pero dito sa Pilipinas, baka mawala yung investment niyo. So Congress has the flexibility and the power to impose appropriate limitations, restrictions, conditions for ownership, or safety nets po, should circumstances warrant these adjustments. Our ASEAN peers have done this through ordinary legislation and not via constitutional change. Meron po tayong recommendations sa mass media, land, and natural resources. Pareho po ang ating recommendation. Tanggalin na po yung provisions na yan and let Congress put in the restrictions. Hindi ko na babasahin lahat. Ibibigay ko lang to sa inyong Secretary para in the interest of time po. No? Meron po kaming additional suggestion, Mr. Chair. We propose yung Filipino First Policy provisions, particularly the following. Babasahin ko lang ito. For Article 2, Section 19, we propose that it be revised to, I quote, the state shall develop a self-reliant and independent national economy for the benefit of all Filipinos. Hindi yung control ang may importante. Our proposal po will help qualify that the overriding objective is control is not in terms of ownership, but more importantly, an economy that works for the interests and needs of all Filipinos. No? Mas mahalaga po yun. For Article 12, Section 10, we propose that it be revised to, again, I quote, in the grant of rights, privileges, and concessions covering the national economy and patrimony, the state shall give preference to qualified investors. Hindi na kailangan Filipino. The proposal is grounded on who can best serve the interests of the Filipino people regardless of their nationality. No. Amending the wording of the Declaration of Principles would be necessary, Mr. Chair, because it will create consistency in future laws that may be enacted, thereby removing the possibility of another constitutional challenge kagaya nung sa PSA. No? In conclusion po, removing the restrictive economic provision is necessary but not sufficient. Sang-ayon kami sa UP School of Economics paper na hindi sufficiente po. Kailangan pa rin other conditions such as the rule of law, good infrastructure, lower energy and logistic costs, and ease of doing business, among others, must be present to effectively compete with our ASEAN peers in attracting more foreign direct investments. This is a necessary step to ensuring that our legal framework is at par with our neighbors as we continue to simultaneously ensure that other conditions are in place to create a more attractive investment environment. Keeping the provisions in the Constitution and adding the words, quote again, unless otherwise provided by law, gives flexibility to Congress, sure, but it still provides an element of uncertainty naman sa foreign investors as to whether, when, and to what extent are going to be removed yung currently restricted areas. Kaya, Mr. Chairman, in summary, we hope po that your committee, principally you, and the entire Senate will seriously consider yung aming observations at recommendations po. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Secretary Gary B. Teves. Napakaganda po ng inyong pagbibigay ng kaliwanagan sa amin. Maraming salamat po. Sir, Romulo L. Neri, sir.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Hey.
I was only given 2 days notice for this meeting. So what I did is to read the whole Constitution last night. And of course, I have some previous papers that I will probably just mention here. So my inputs will be more general, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. Of course, I have to say that I totally agree with my old friend, Mr. Gary Teves, Congressman, and he was secretary, and marami na kaming pinagdaanan ni Gary Teves panahon pa ni Mitra. So we go a long way back. So I totally agree with Gary Teves on his points. Now, based on my reading of the very, very long Philippine Constitution, number one, it's extremely detailed, very, very long and too detailed for a constitution. And it's and basically the provisions of our constitution are too protectionist, to the extent that it's bad for our economy and for our people. And of course, I noticed that we have a party list system that has been abused. So, but overall, my comment is we have to simplify it. It's too long for a constitution. Very, very hard to read for ordinary people especially.
Kung gusto mo, pag sinabi niyo pong masyadong detalyado, ano po bang ibig sabihin na nakaka-confuse na? Ganun?
Marami detalyado that are better put in legislation, not in a constitution.
Ano po, yun po. Yun. Katulad po ng sinasabi ni Secretary Teves. Opo. Masyadong kumaba yung konstitusyon na dapat ay nasa normal lang na batas.
Marami na siya. You know, I think it's because there were so many delegates and all the interests and all the specific agenda.
Nilagay doon?
Nilagay lahat. Wala nang tinanggal. You know what I'm saying? Basta sinama na lang.
Okay.
Kaya naging mahaba masyado.
Okay po.
Somebody should simplify it. Anyway, that will come later. We will discuss it later. No? So my suggestions are just to identify the most essential principles in the Constitution, principles of governance, just like the American Constitution. Maiksi lang. Second, and the details can be converted into specific laws that can be amended as needed in accordance with the changes in national circumstances. Kasi it ties our hands too much, you know, to the extent that the maski na we know that this is no longer in our national interest, we still have to stick to it because it's in the Constitution. As Congressman Teves said, it can be interpreted into the protectionist provisions because it's bad for the country. So some related observations that I had as I read the Constitution. Why have we failed in its intents? In other words, it's a very well-intentioned Constitution. I have to be fair to the Constitution. It has very full of good intentions. Of course, except for the protectionist provisions. They don't know. They didn't realize the consequences of these protectionist provisions that will discourage foreign investments, that will create jobs for us. So why have we failed in its intents? Like good education. Maganda yung sinasabi ng Constitution sa importance of education. Industrialization. Environmental protection. And despite all of these very good pronouncements and good intentions of the Constitution, we have failed. Okay. And oligarchs still dominate our economy and politics. And as I told you before, Mr. Senator, the world loves to hire Filipinos, but why not in the Philippines? What is wrong? I will not answer that now. I think it's something we can answer in the process. So what do we need to do? And as Gary Teves already said, level the playing field for businesses, encourage investments and competition for better consumer welfare, because competition will ensure that our products are good quality at the proper prices. Right now, our products are shoddy, our services are shoddy at very, very expensive prices. A good example is telecommunications. And we have failed to pass this Open Access Act. And we have to ask, bakit matagal na yan? And it's good for the country, it's good for our people. Bakit hindi pinapasa ng legislature? So the Constitution should focus on people as our most valuable asset, especially their health and education. We should also strengthen in the Constitution. The Constitution should call for strengthening the institutions for good governance and encouraging investments and job creation as number one priority. Job creation, health, and education. We should also look for ways to control corruption at the national and local levels. I will later on suggest that we use the social media now. Because now it has become a very, very powerful for people empowerment. I've been telling my friends that we had social media when Miriam Santiago was running, she would have won by a landslide. Power of social media. We how to use it for the benefit of our people, better governance, and anti-corruption tool. I will have my own proposals there later on, Mr. Senator, at the proper time. And as Asek Benitez said, we have to strengthen political parties and make them accountable, and to produce more effective and honest leaders. To do that, we have to reform our election finance and introduce measures to reduce election costs. Elections are just expensive. And we have to reduce the power of the oligarchs over economic policies and politics. I will, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I will address this with 5 more minutes. A constitution has to address the deep-seated and existential issues and societal, political, and economic problems. Yung malalim na problema ang ina-address ng constitution. Hindi yung mga pitsi-pitsi na detalya. Okay. In Athens, for example, in ancient times, we know of the lawgiver Solon. Why was Solon famous after 3,000 years? He's still called Solon. I mean, our legislators are called Solon in his honor. Because he was able to free Athens from the oppression of the rich landowners and free them from their debts that made them slaves to the owners. And also free them from the overly severe laws of the draconian laws. That's why you had the draconian laws. Because the previous constitution of Athens was based on Dracos laws. So Solon changed all that for the benefit of the Athenian people. In Sparta, we have Lycurgus that allowed Sparta to gain victories over its hostile neighbors. In the United States, again, it was a game-changing constitution. From being under a Spanish British monarchy into a federal republic, Federated Republic of the United States. Now, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind 5 more minutes, I will just say, why are we having these problems? The Philippines is an oligarchic state dominated by powerful business interests who perpetuate their power by financing elections. These business oligarchs make and break politicians and overawe a weak and politicized bureaucracy. Hawak nila mga bureaucrats. I will not mention the agencies na hawak nila. They dictate and distort public policies to enrich themselves at the expense of public good through legislative and regulatory capture. One example is this Telcom Act and Open Access Act. Very good example. This has resulted in what political economists describe as a booty capitalistic state, where political winners and their financial backers help themselves to political rewards and economic rents, which in turn allow them to perpetuate their stranglehold on the state and the economy. Political economists have blamed the country's lack of social and economic progress on this economic elite that fostered political distortions and weak institutions. And these are the weak institutions that discourage investments and job creation because they make rules unfair and unpredictable. In other words, it increases the risks to businessmen and investors to come to the Philippines kasi hindi mo alam kung kanila sila papanig sa mga investors, papanig sila sa mga amo nila, no? Okay. They also raise the cost of doing business, such as the cost of power, telecommunications, transport, and cargo handling. It has also stifled competition, which would have lowered the cost of products and services for local consumers and enterprises. Investments can only thrive when rules are fair and predictable, and the costs of doing business are not prohibitive. So, what are possible solutions? The key to removing oligarchy capture of our political system is public financing for our electoral exercises to remove the dependence of politicians on political candidates on big business contributions. A possibility is an ordinary taxpayer should now be allowed to contribute a small portion, say 2%, of the income tax payments to a political party of their choice. This can also be matched by state funds to win away political parties from big election contributions, while allowing political parties to choose their own candidates on the basis of merit. This will also strengthen the Philippine middle class, who religiously pay their taxes as employees or small entrepreneurs and professionals. The middle class is a base support for any functioning democracy and for good governance based on sound institutions. While the poor will seek favor and protection through dole-outs and patronage, the oligarchs through their control and distortion of rules, and the middle class can only seek refuge in uniform applications of rules by credible institutions. We need to strengthen our political party system to serve as a training ground for good politicians and guarantor of the quality of political leaders. We will also make the source of political leaders less dependent on traditional local families that have dominated our political system. A grassroots-based political party system with clear developmental agenda will support poverty alleviation, job creation in their communities, while improving the business environment in local levels and the investment environment at the national level. With the advent of social media, it's now possible to strengthen our democratic processes through the use of social media and social networking to facilitate collective citizen action for good governance by making public officials accountable for their official actions. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for allowing me to state these points. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po. Sec, kasi medyo maganda yung usapin nung tungkol sa mga oligarko. No? Maganda yung usapin na yan. Manya, balikan natin yan. Napakaganda po niyan. May mga tanong na ako pero mamaya pakinggan muna po natin si Attorney Abad. Attorney Abad?
Mr. Chairman, long time no see. Tatlong hearing. Thank you for inviting me to your all your hearings. No? Ang napag-usapan natin kanina, yung Constitution pa rin, saligang batas, pero yung mga freedoms and rights. No? At sinabi natin, yung mga freedoms na yun, importante rin para magkaroon ng malakas na ekonomiya at may kapayapaan ang bansa. So, in the same way as you fix the Constitution or review the Constitution, I think it will always lead towards more peace and stability in our society. So, first of all, I am, of course, fully supportive of your resolution, and I hope you were successful dito sa Senate. I know it's very challenging dito sa Senate, no? And that's why I noticed may mga modifications ka dito na para sumang-ayon rin yung mga kapwa niyong senator. But generally, yes, I agree. No? Maybe if it's per item, no, by item, unang-una yung regarding ang Senado, no. Alam ko na medyo kinakabahan or nagagalit ang mga senador sa konsepto ng pagbabago or pag-amenda or pag-revise ng saligang batas, and maybe because it might threaten their incumbency, no. And I think that's why we still have this here 24 senators na elected at large. But alam mo, in modern times yung upper house has a role to play which is different from dati. Ang upper house, parang House of Lords sa UK, no, Westminster. The reason why you have a House of Lords is as an accommodation to the nobility class, yung mga barons, dukes, so earls, mga earls and so those who have already parang landed and mga elite, meron silang chamber. But yung House of Commons was the important innovation na in fact they had to fight a civil war over the coming up with a House of Commons, no? or protecting the House of Commons. Problema lang si Cromwell na naging dictatorship yung regime ni Cromwell. So bumalik sa monarchy, but this time it was a monarchy with a House of Commons, with a parliament. No? So parliaments, Congress, no, parliaments, they play an important role kasi yan ang town hall ng bayan. So kailangan representative rin yung town hall na yan of the most common people of the society. And that's why yung House of Representatives, they are the representatives of the people. Ang Senate naman, what has happened is the Senate is actually the representatives of the states or regions of the country. And usually this is most relevant in federal systems, katulad ng Estados Unidos or Germany. Lahat yan may mga upper house. Switzerland, maliit na bansa pero may upper house rin siya. But they are the representatives of the states. So dito, actually the Senate or senators should be representatives of the different regions or states of the Philippines. So this might be an early parang transition natin sa federal system by studying the different parts. And ano yung magiging parang autonomous regions rin, katulad ng Bangsamoro. And that, I think that will justify having an upper house. And that's why it's better nga na they're elected by region, by state or by region. No? Pero my recommendations, maybe we should start studying already kung ano tong mga states na to. And my tip is, pag-aralan nyo yung Bangsamoro, basic law, and yung operation ng parliament niya. It's very interesting because it's become parang very democratic. May participation ng lahat ng stakeholders sa Mindanao, sa Bangsamoro. And the parliament is a good experiment already in parang modern democracy sa Philippines. So baka pwedeng natin gawin sa Mindanao, sa Visayas, no? That each one will have a parliament. But that they should be represented by senators or by representatives who will be in this upper house. So yan yung parang vision for the Senate of the future ng Pilipinas. So, ngayon, with regard to term length, no, ang standard or what seems to be the most optimal or standard that has appeared around the world is 5 years for parliaments, and that also follows for local governments. Maybe because ang 5 years parang is enough for a medium-term plan. Kung mag-implement ka ng medium-term plan, at the very least, pagbaba mo sa position after 5 years, you would have accomplished something substantial for your city or your district. So that's why our recommendation, we're thinking about 5 years. No? And that means it dovetails also with the recommendation na 5 years. No? Now, with regard to term limits, yung limit, no, kasi may term, so 5-year yun, but the limit on how many times you can run. Kasi personally, I don't also believe na dapat magkaroon ng limits on the number of terms. When you look at government units, Mr. Chairman, try to imagine them as corporations. Corporations are implementing the budget and expenditure and service delivery plan. Diba? Kung Jollibee ka, San Miguel, may plano yan eh. And you have to follow that plan and you have to implement it. But may command structure ka and you have to do it very fast. And then, syempre, you have to take care of your constituents. Kung yung customer mo, dito naman yung mga stakeholders or yung mga residents ng probinsya o ng lungsod. So, try to imagine the government unit of the future like a corporation na meron rin parang board of directors, mag-a-appoint yan or mag-elect yan ng official, chief executive, mayor, governor. And he's going to be the chief executive for that. He's the manager eh. So kailangan meron siya at least parang 5 years. Pero kung mapaganda niya yung 5 years na yan, why not allow for a longer term plan for that government unit? I'm not saying local government or kahit national government. Basta ang vision mo dun sa government na yan, parang corporation. So dapat may board of directors ka rin, meron rin chief executive, may executive committee, yung mga structures that are necessary in a corporation. So that's yung suggestion ko with regard to or with regard to this matter of term limits and limits on numbers of time to be elected, no? And then ano pa ba? Well, yung president, vice president, well, if we maintain the same system, mas maganda kung magkasama ang hindi nagkakaproblema kasi pag nag-aaway president and vice president. It's very counterproductive, no? In fact, ang problema sa sistema natin, masyadong adversarial. It's always a winner take all eh. Pag presidential system kasi winner take all yan. Kung sino yung manalo as president, lahat, government officials, Congress, lahat yan will be affected. And everyone will want to be with that And syempre sa bureaucracy, maglalagay siya ng mga mga tauhan niya, no? That's what happens for 6 years. Then makaka-election uli. Then it's a new dictator. Pag parliament, the representatives are the ones who select the executive. And then the executive is supposed to be a manager. Dapat parang GM yan, general manager of the country. Not parang masyadong mataas yung pagtingin natin sa position na yan eh. It's actually a general manager for budget expenditure and service delivery. But ang budget niya is like 14 trillion pesos. And he has to take care of every citizen of the country. So when you do that, when you think about it, dapat parang corporation talaga ang pagtingin mo sa bansa, no? Or sa government, sa pamahalaan. So, in the meantime, pwedeng president and vice president, but they should be voted together. So tama tong resolution. But I think, again, to study for the future and to consider the future, pag-aralan natin yung it's a parliamentary system, but I'd like to bring in yung corporate features, yung parang corporate practice, good governance, corporate governance within government. So it will become para magbabago talaga eh. Yung ang hanapin natin talaga yung parang mga manager eh. Yung mga magaling sa management ng mga resources, ng customer support, mga ganun eh. If you imagine yourself as a corporation and may reklamo ka, kailangan tugunan ng corporation yung mga reklamo mo. That's what happens also sa kahit sa mga Grab or sa McDonald's, lahat yan. So we should also have a feedback mechanism for the people when we elect. So what will happen is political parties will be like running for the management contract of the government corporation. And so, importante, sino ba tong political party na to? Then they will really have to strengthen their ideology. We represent the liberal democracy. We are real progressives, or we are real Democrats. Mga ganon, no? But something for your consideration, Mr. Chairman, for the future. And well, syempre, maraming mga controversy pagdating sa constitutional amendment. Baka akala ko may time limit parang sa Academy Awards. Well, kung I mean for political acceptance and you might consider nga na we should try and push for a constitutional convention so that it's not a perfect system, but at least the delegates will be able to study yung talagang from the first page to the last page kung ano talaga kailangan baguhin. And kunyari, if Secretary Neri says it's too long, 21,000 words versus I think 7,000 or 7,000 in Indonesia. I think the simpler the constitution, the better for its citizens. The longer a constitution and the longer the laws, more litigation, more injustice. And yung mayaman lang, yung mga abogado. we benefit from long legislation. But for the benefit of the citizens, dapat maiksi lang. Which means parang editing process. Yung CONCON will really have to edit the work of the CONCOM. And maybe a good starting point, I would also like to suggest, is the Malolos Constitution of 1899 because it did not have the interventions of the US colonial government yet. And when we start there, then you modernize it so that it becomes a constitution for 2024 and not a constitution for 1986. No? Kasi bago na yung mundo, it's already the age of AI. So the world is changing very fast. And marami tong mga issues rin about our territory, conflicts happening around the world. We have to be resilient and dynamic. So yung buong bansa, kailangan handa. But we can only do it if we work together. So you have to design a new government or a new constitution that makes us work together. Hindi yung away ng away. But we're all fighting over the booty, the spoils of war. Kasi yung problema sa presidential system it's winner take all So kung may talo, ang gagawin ng talo, parang magiging parang they will block everything. So but in a parliament, at least kahit yung minority kasama sa usapan. That's the difference. But we can sir, masyado mahaba na yung intervention ko. I can help you with the specifics pagdating ng panahon. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po, Attorney. Huwag po kayong mag-alala. Mahaba po itong marami pong susunod na hearing ito. Dadalhin din po natin ito sa malalayong lugar para mas maintindihan po ng taong bayan kung ano po yung mga ipinaliliwanag nyo, mga pagbubukas ng isip ng ating mga kababayan. Maraming salamat po, Attorney. Pakinggan naman po natin si Sir Orion Perez Dumdum.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, maraming salamat din sa inyong pagbigay sa akin ng ganitong pagkakataon. So, itong panukalang ito po, syempre ako po, ang gusto ko po talagang panukala yung talagang unang-una tatanggalin natin lahat ng mga anti-foreign direct investment restrictions, no? Para talagang makapasok ang mga investor na maglilikha ng maraming trabaho, lalo na para sa mga taong nandun sa mga regions na gustong pumasok ang mga investor sa kanilang lugar. Katulad ng BARM. Ang BARM lumalabas na nung nagkaroon ng Democracy Watch consultative session, no? Ang mga youth leader doon ay sumasang-ayon sa pagpasok ng foreign direct investors. At sa tingin ko, hindi kasi sila nahihirapang makapag-isip na hindi sila naiiba masyado sa ibang mga karatig bansa natin. Dahil sa pagiging predominantly Muslim nila, ganun din ang nakikita nila sa Malaysia, sa Indonesia, at to a certain extent ang Singapore na may significant Muslim population din. Nakikita nila na hindi naman tayo masyadong naiiba sa kanila. At sila ay umunlad dahil sa pagpasok ng maraming foreign investors na nakapaglikha ng mga trabaho. Kaya pwede rin natin gawin yan sa ating region. Ito po, galing po dito kay Abdul Abedin III of Mindanao State University dun sa consultative session. Sabi niya, we're okay with foreign investors because it benefits the people, because we are opening employment. The more we generate employment, we stop and combat poverty and end poverty. Tapos sabi niya rin, nag-cite din siya ng experiences ng Malaysia, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, at pati na rin ng BARM. Gusto niya, nakikita niya na nagawa ito ng ibang mga bansa na may maraming Muslim, na bakit hindi natin gawin dito sa aming region. So yun po yung sa mga taong kumukontra sa panukala na papasukin ng mga foreign investors, na tanggalin ng mga anti-foreign direct investment restrictions, pag-isipan po muna ninyo na baka naman ay hinaharang ninyo ang pagpasok ng mga job-creating investors doon sa mga regions na gusto nilang magkaroon ng ganyan. Okay? So ngayon, ako rin po, alam po ni Chairman Senator na ako po ay matagal nang nagsusulong nung federal parliamentary system. At dahil po sa aking experience doon sa Singapore, ako na po hindi na po OFW ngayon. Nandito po ako sa Pilipinas ngayon. Sa tagal ng nakita ko sa Singapore, 5 years po ang mga termino po ng kanilang mga opisyal. At nakikita ako na maganda po talaga yung 5 years. No? 5 years, and if possible nga, dahil ito rin ang nangyayari sa lahat ng mga bansang progresibo, lahat ng mga bansang gumagamit ng parliamentary system, wala po silang term limits. Ito po yung lumalabas, wala pong term limits. Marami po, as it turns out, dito po talaga sa Pilipinas, na brainwash ang marami sa atin, na nag-iisip tayo na kailangan ng term limits. masama ang unlimited terms daw. Pero kung makita natin yung ibang mga bansang mga progresibo o yung mga karatig bansa natin dito sa Southeast Asia, puro sila may unlimited terms. Kung magaling yung isang politiko, patuloy siya sa kanyang posisyon. Kung nagkamali siya o maaari siyang tanggalin ng kanya, maaari siyang hindi iboto sa next term. So yun po yung estilo, no? Dito sa atin, ginagaya po natin ang estilo ng Mexico at ng ibang mga bansa sa Latin America na alam naman po natin sa Latin America marami pong medyo hindi ganun kaganda ang kalabasan ng kanilang mga ekonomiya. At yun po ang ginagaya natin na naglalagay ng term limits, no? Ang nangyari sa Pilipinas po, gayang-gaya po tayo sa Mexico, no? Same number of years para sa presidente at hindi nakakapag-run for re-election. 1 6-year term ang president nila. 2 6-year terms for senators sa Mexico. 2 3-year terms for House of Representatives, for the lower house sa kanila. Parang parehong-pareho actually. Although nagkaiba ng konti dahil sa atin 3 terms yung lower house natin, sa kanila ay 2 terms lang. Pero kumbaga, very similar ang sistema na meron tayo in terms of yung mga term limits natin. Parehong-pareho sa Mexico. So yung po nangyari sa atin, hindi po American system ang nagaya natin. Mexican system po, sa totoo lang. So kung maaari, mas maganda po talaga kung naka-parliamentary system tayo. Sana. No? Yun yung ideal. Federal parliamentary system, 5 years ang mga termino at wala sanang term limits. Ngayon, dito po sa panukalang ito, para sa akin magandang unang hakbang ito. Kung hindi natin makukuha ang approval ng ating mga kasama sa legislatura na siguro natatakot sila sa parliamentary, natatakot sila sa iba't ibang mga ano dito, siguro ito ay magandang unang hakbang. Kahit 4 years o 5 years dahil ang 3 taon ay napakaiksing panahon lang. Hindi po talaga sapat ito para magampanan ng mga opisyal ang kanilang trabaho. Dahil agad-agad sila nag-iisip ng re-election na naman, no? Isang taon lang yata nila na ayos. Unang pagkapasok nila, nagsasanay sila. 1 taon para gawin ng trabaho, tapos 1 taon para humanda para sa next election. So kung 4 years, mas okay yun kaysa sa 3 years. Kung 5 years, para sa tingin ko po, mas maganda po talaga ang 5 years. No? Dahil yun din ang nangyayari sa mga bansang katulad ng Singapore at ng Malaysia. Pati sa UK, maraming ibang mga bansa na gumagamit ng parliamentary system. So, bagamat baka hindi muna tayo makapasok sa pagkakaroon ng federal parliamentary system, at least man lang kung magawa natin itong hakbang na ito, parang mababago natin ang ating baseline, no? So that ito po, kunyari yung para sa economic provisions, maayos na yan. Tapos dito sa mga sa term limits o kaya sa term, imbis na 3 years maging 4 or 5 years, mas gaganda po ang takbo ng mga opisyal natin. So sana po makita po sana ito dahil maraming nanonood sa ating pandinig. Sana po maintindihan po nila na kailangan po talaga itong mga pagbabagong ito. Lalo na ang unang-una talaga yung sa economic restrictions, no. Ang marami po akong nakakausap na kaibigan kong mga Filipino Muslims na talagang bukas na bukas sila sa ganung klaseng pag-iisip na magkaroon ng investors. Lalo na't gusto nilang gumanda ang kanilang home region ng BARM. Kung sana ay matanggal natin itong mga anti-foreign direct investment restrictions, siguro nakatanggap ng napakaraming mga investments ang BARM. Galing dun sa mga kapwa Muslim na mga bansa na mayayaman, lalo na't yung mga nandun sa Gulf region na gustong tumulong sa kanilang mga kapatid na Muslim. So sana po, wag po nating haharangin ang mga reformang ito kasi ang paghaharang na ito ay nakakasira po sa kabuhayan ng maraming mga ordinaryong tao. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Orion. Mag-umpisa na po tayo ng tanungan. Ako na po ay very excited dito sa tanong ko na ito. Sa tingin niyo po ba, kanina po kasi tinanong ko ang ating former DOF Secretary Teves at si former DBM Secretary Neri. Tanungin ko po kayo kasi talagang lahat po tayo naman ay naniniwala dito ngayon na kailangan na talagang amendahan yung economic provision. Sa palagay po ba ninyo, napapanahon na rin ba ang political pag-usapan din po ba ang politika? Nung po bang sa panahon po, nung kayo po ay nagserbisyo sa ating mga Pangulo, noon po ba nararamdaman na ninyo na totoo po ba yung kasabihan na yung 6 na taon para sa isang Pangulo na magaling ay maiksi? Pero yung 6 na taon para sa Pangulo na nganga ay mahaba.
Maraming salamat, Chairman. Pasyensya na po, kapos ang aking pag-iisip dun sa ibang bagay outside economic provisions. Kasi ang naging delegado din ako ng Constitutional Convention 71-72. Medyo may katagalan yung pag-amenda ng Constitution. So bilang siguro estudyante ng ekonomiya, tinitingnan natin kung ano bang cause and effect nito. So sa prioritization ng anong mga tatalakayin, again, bias po tayo siguro na inuuna ko yung economic provisions. So medyo unfair sa akin kung magbigay ako ng desisyon ngayon na hindi ko pinag-aralan na mabuti. Pero intuitive feeling lang, intuitive feeling, wala pang scientific or really thoughtful time devoted to it. Yung 6 years pwede na, pero pwedeng extendable pa rin yan. Kasi ako naman, convinced din ako na wala dapat ng term limits. No? Kung sakaling meron man lang, siguro sa mataas na posisyon na, siguro max na siguro yung 12 years kung sa presidente. No? Again, intuitive lang po ito, Senator. No? Sa ano naman, sa mababang posisyon, yung sa congressman, wala ring term limit, ang intuitive feeling ko. Kasi siguro influence din ako sa konting eksperyensya ko rin sa privado sector na dapat talaga ang pinaka-importante ang performance po nyo. Hindi dahil sa pamilya. Kasi naniniwala ko, lalo-lalo na kung ma-improve yung ating educational system, dahan-dahan nag-improve yung ating electorate in terms of their education and in terms of their choice of officials, talagang mas mabuti ang desisyon nila kung pwede pa ba ito ay pagtuloy natin yung servisyo ng isang tao na talagang magbibigay panahon at performance. Sa palagi ko, mas mahusay yon o mabuti yon kaysa yung artificial na kailangan term limit tapos meron bang pamilyang susunod. So parang sinicircumvent na rin natin yun eh. No? So siguro dyan na muna ako, Chairman, kasi sabi ko nga medyo hindi pa thoughtful ang aking pag-iisip dyan. No? Salamat po. No?
Maraming salamat po, Sec. Teves. Sir.
Mr. Chairman, ako, I favor, if you're gonna do one, might as well do everything. Nandiyan na yan. Palitan lang lahat kasi marami pang ibang kailangang palitan eh. Bakit patingi-tingi pa? And then we will have to go back again. Oh, may nakalimutan tayong provision na kailangan pala palitan. So, my feeling is, yung opening up the, what do you call this, itong economy, you know, we have enough areas that are already open. Why are they not coming into these open areas already? May problema ba? Tingin ko meron. Kasi ang problema natin yung risk return ang inisip ng mga investors. Eh. Are the risks, can the risks be surmounted? Are the returns reasonable? Sa returns, mataas masyadong cost of doing business natin. Eh. Mataas ang power, infrastructure, we don't have enough. No? We're an island country, so yung logistics is also problematic. But that can also be solved. No? Maraming issues that can be solved without having to change the constitution yet. We already have enough areas for investors to come in. But why are they not coming? We have to fix something already that can be fixed already without even having to change the constitution. Ako naman, if we're going to change the constitution, palitan ng lahat kasi ang daming problema. When I read it, sumakit ang ulo ko just reading it, you know. And it's already very counterproductive kasi parang you're legislating everything already in the constitution. Let's simplify, then later on give us enough flexibility. But already said, times have changed. Marami nang nagbago. And in fact, ako naman, if I can institutionalize social media to stop corruption, I will. Kasi, you know, ang mga kababayan natin, yung social media, sinasayang sa mga kalokohan eh. But if you can use social media to make people behave, or public officials behave, malaking bagay yan. Tingin ko, kaya kung kaya. You can already see examples na where social media can force government officials to behave. Let's institutionalize it. And among others, ang dami-dami nang nangyayari that we can already incorporate into our constitution. So ang feeling ko dito, if you're gonna change one, pareho rin gagawin mo. You have to go back to the people and for a plebiscite. Same thing. Ipagsama-sama na ibang kailangan palitan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir Dick Penson.
Mr. Chair, I think it is very timely na ang diskusyon na to, sabi nga nila Secretary Neri at Secretary Teves, na horse and carriage na tayo eh. Yung 1987 Constitution has already been in place for over 3 decades, almost 4 decades. And since then, ang politika natin, the political dynasties in Congress has grown to almost 90% of its residents in Congress are political dynasties. Our manufacturing base from 1987 to current, we've already lost more than 78% of our manufacturing base. Our provision for the standard living wage has not been met. Our people are struggling. We're supposed to have a living wage of 1,000 pesos. Our minimum wage is 570. So it's all been lopsided towards whom? Towards the very people we're discussing here. Those who will sit in office, those who will be elected in office. We have not changed. From 1987 to now, the same names are there in Congress and in the Senate. So, sabi nga ni Secretary Teves, one has to go with the other. Sabi nung iba rin, kailangan yung economic provision must be strengthened with the political provisions. It cannot be just one or the other. Now, yung sa, I'm sure, yung panukala po ninyo, Mr. Chairman, already studied this. Kaya ito, strengthening our political parties like electing the president and the vice president as one. Parang block voting like in America. You don't elect the president and the vice president separately. You elect either Democrats or Republicans. Dito sa atin, wala. Ang partido natin is linked to the politician who owns the political party. Tuwing election, our politicians go out and look for political dynasties dahil alam nila yun ang magdadala sa kanila. It is not the other way around. But when you elect president and vice president as one, it will force our people to look at the platform of the political parties. And that strengthens our political fiber. Hindi na yung pupunta ako dito, puro fence sitters ang mga politiko dito sa atin. Ang sinusunod yung head ng dynasty sa district, sa city, sa lalawigan, sa national. Mula nung pinag-usapan itong mga revisions na to, kita mo, na-divide na tayo. Ang ating mga political leaders or dynasties, they already control provinces, regions even. Paano yung mga kabataan natin na gusto din magsilbi? Pupunta na lang, magko-contract worker na lang sa Singapore o sa ibang bansa. So, yung economic provisions, it's time we develop indigenous industries that will bring our expert people, our talented people back home so that the very fiber of Philippine society, the basic unit of family, mabuo uli. Hanggat hindi natin maibalik yung 12 million contract workers natin, we have 12 million people, 12 million families suffering the inequities of daily life. Tapos yung sa provisions, FDI, we know all about the data. But are we doing anything about it? The common people kasi are not assertive enough here because the mentality of our politicians is once they're there already in office, kita na lang ulit tayo sa eleksyon. So, mahirap talagang ipagbuo pero yung provision of 4 years, I think that's a good compromise so that we can have the schedule of elections like every 4 years. Yung term limits, I think that can be agreed upon. Siguro sa lower house, they can have like up to 3 terms. Sa president, you can have 2 terms kung 8 years. Kung 8 years na yon, ma-develop mo, kung magaling kang pangulo, ma-develop mo na yung policy mo to make sure that the national interest as defined to all Filipinos is finally carried out. Ngayon, hindi natin alam. Tanungin mo yung mga makasalubong natin sa kalye. Alam niyo ba ang national interest ng Pilipinas? Hindi nila alam. They are not informed. Our COMELEC has failed in their information dissemination functions. Dapat ang COMELEC, kung kami lang susundin sa SIPAG, ang COMELEC dapat should only serve 6 months before a national election and 6 months after. Any problems of the previous election must be resolved within the 6 months. Hindi yung kasi, full-time sila So, paupo-upo na lang sila dyan sa Intramuros. Yung mga kaso, sige, pagulong-gulong lang dyan. Tapos didesisyon na natin pagtapos na nung term nung nakaupo para hindi gumulo. See, our status quo has become so lopsided na what is wrong has become the norm here. In elections, in policies. So sayang, we have become, since the 1987 Constitution, we have become a net consumer state. Everything we use, everything we utilize, everything we wear is imported. Ang mga ine-export natin, anong pride natin sa export? Data, processing chips. But we import the computers. We export the chips, though. TV, yung mga resistors, we export that. We import the TV. We cannot even make our own TV sets. While we claim that Filipinos are there building other cities globally, let's bring them back home. Kailangan na natin dito. So yung political tsaka yung economic policies, they go hand in hand. It cannot be separated by any delineation. Kawawa na ang taong bayan. Sana man lang, ma-address din natin yung sa regional wage boards. Yung sweldo ng mga tao, yung minimum wage. It's not enough. Kasi rent economy tayo. So the chosen few oligarchs, for time immemorial, siguro since before or since after I was born, dahil baby boomer ako. So after I was born, iba na talaga ang takbuhan dito. When I was growing up, everything seemed so clean. Now, we're talking about trillions of pesos in GAA, but I don't think our people see that, Mr. Chairman. So, pag-ayos natin ito sana at pag-aralan na rin natin dahil alam na natin lahat kung anong pakiramdam ng taong bayan. Hindi na lang sila makapagreklamo dahil busy po sila humahanap ng makakain ng pamilya nila mamayang gabi. So, yun sana i-focus na lang natin. Yung sa 4 years, I think that is a very good proposal. It's a starting point. It's a compromise proposal. It saves money. Hindi ka every 3 years gumagastos ng billion para lang sa botong hindi naman natin alam sino nagbibilang. Di ba? Kaya yung sinabi nga kanina ng mga ibang panauhin, sila ang nag-decide kung sino mananalo, yung mga oligarchs. So, we have been sustaining these people for how many decades now? And our people remain the same.